Darkness. That's the first thing you notice. No glow from the street lamps outside your window. No hum from the refrigerator in your kitchen. No tiny blinking lights on your phone. Just silence. And an unsettling, unnatural void. Imagine for a moment that every light, every circuit, every wire, every spark of electricity simply stopped. Not just a blackout in your city, not a rolling outage in your country, but across the entire Earth. The invisible lifeblood of our civilization suddenly gone. What happens next? Electricity is the pulse of the modern world. It flows unseen but everywhere. Through copper veins, across power grids, down into our homes, our hospitals, our water systems, our satellites in orbit. Without it, the skyscrapers that pierce the sky are nothing but hollow towers. Without it, the internet, the nervous system of humanity, falls silent. Without it, the pace of modern life does not just slow, it stops. So let's walk through this moment. What if all electricity stopped working? The first minutes would be confusion. At first, people would reach for their phones, tapping at black screens that will never come back to life. Elevators would grind to a halt, trapping people between floors. Planes in the air, reliant on constant electrical systems, would falter. Thousands of them simultaneously. Some would glide to emergency landings. Many would not. Traffic signals would vanish. Highways and intersections would become chaos. In hospitals, the machines that breathe for patients, pump their hearts, or monitor their fragile conditions would simply switch off. Emergency generators? They wouldn't work. Not this time. Because this isn't just a blackout. This is the end of electricity itself. The hours after would reveal something deeper, our absolute dependence on this force. Water, for example, does not simply flow to your tap by gravity alone. Pumps drive it, filters clean it, treatment plants sterilize it. Within a day, urban water systems would collapse. Without power, sewage treatment also fails. Cities that rely on clean, pressurized water would face disease within days. Food would be next. Grocery stores, once a paradise of endless choice, would descend into silence. Without refrigeration, milk spoils, meat rots, vegetables wilt. Transport trucks dependent on electrically controlled engines and systems sit idle. The global supply chain freezes overnight. Hunger begins not in months but in days, and then communication. Humanity's great web of voices, the internet, is electricity embodied. Without it, no messages cross oceans. No signals beam through satellites. Radio, television, phones, all of it vanishes. The world becomes billions of disconnected islands. To truly understand the scale, we must step back. Consider what electricity is and what it has meant for us. Electricity is not an invention. It is a discovery. A natural phenomenon as old as lightning, as ever-present as the spark in your body's nerves. But humans learned to harness it, to control it. In the late 19th century, entire cities lit up for the first time, transforming night into day. Factories no longer needed to sleep with the setting sun. Hospitals became places of hope, not despair. With electricity, we stretched lifespans, expanded horizons, built the modern world brick by glowing brick. Think of history before electricity. Nights were dark, truly dark. Streets lit by flickering fire. Work limited by daylight. Information traveling no faster than a horse could gallop or a ship could sail. Our world was smaller, slower, fragile. That was barely over a century ago. Now, in this imagined scenario, the world collapses backward. But worse, because today we are far more reliant on electricity than our ancestors ever were. We cannot simply return to the 1800s. Too much of our infrastructure, our knowledge, even our survival is woven into this one fragile thread. So what precisely unfolds when that thread is cut? Day 1, the silence spreads. Confusion gives way to panic. Supermarkets are stripped bare as people scramble for canned goods, bottled water, anything that does not require refrigeration. Hospitals, overwhelmed and failing, face tragedies too numerous to count. Air travel is gone. Global commerce ends instantly. Day 3. Without functioning pumps, many cities run dry. Toilets do not flush. Drinking water vanishes. Diseases begin to spread as hygiene collapses. People in rural areas, those with wells or natural water sources, fare slightly better, but they too rely on electric pumps. Day 7. The food chain is unraveling. In developed nations, mass hunger sets in. Crops still grow in fields, but there are no machines to harvest them. No trucks to transport them, no factories to process them. Urban centers home to billions become unsustainable. Desperation rises. Day 14. The fragile order of society begins to fracture. Governments, unable to communicate, lose control. Without fuel distribution, since pumps require electricity, even vehicles fall silent. Armies, police forces, aid organizations all weaken. What remains is local. Communities must rely on themselves. Day 30. The modern world is gone. Global cities shrink to shadows of themselves. The survivors are those who can grow food, find water, adapt to a world stripped of its most vital power. In some places, small towns may stabilize. In others, chaos reigns. And beyond the human toll, the natural world is also reshaped. Nuclear power plants, without active cooling, face catastrophic meltdowns. Chemical plants leak. Satellites drift lifeless in orbit. The very systems designed to protect us become new dangers without control. This is the raw, unfiltered chain of consequence when electricity itself is erased. Not just inconvenience, not just darkness, but a collapse of civilization as we know it. But has humanity ever faced anything like this before? There are echoes. In 1859, the Carrington Event, a massive solar storm, slammed into Earth's magnetic field. Telegraph systems sparked and failed. Operators were shocked by surges racing down their lines. If an event of that magnitude struck today, many scientists warn it could fry our power grids, leaving us in a world eerily close to the one we just imagined. During the Great Northeast Blackout of 1965, 30 million people suddenly lost power. In 2003, another blackout swept through parts of the United States and Canada. Those lasted hours, sometimes days. In those brief windows, society revealed both its fragility and its resilience. Yet in every case, power returned. The lights flickered back on. Life resumed, but in our scenario, they never do. There is no coming back. No repair, no reboot. The silence is permanent, so what is left? What can humanity do in a world without electricity? We would adapt. Slowly, painfully. Some would turn to older technologies, windmills, water wheels, animal power. Written letters, face-to-face communication, fire for warmth and light. Skills once forgotten would return. Farming by hand, crafting tools without machines. Medicine stripped to its simplest form. The human story would continue. But it would be a different story. Smaller, harder, less connected. From nearly 8 billion souls, only a fraction might survive the first year. And from them, a new civilization might rise, not built on silicon and circuits, but on muscle and memory. And perhaps centuries later, they would look at the ruins of our world, our towers of steel, our silent satellites above, and wonder what kind of people once lived here, what kind of power once flowed through our cities, and how it all simply stopped. Electricity is invisible, yet it defines our lives more than almost anything else. To imagine its sudden disappearance is to strip away the mask of modern civilization, to see how delicate it truly is. The question is not only what would happen if all electricity stopped working. The deeper question is, what would we become without it? And if this thought experiment unsettles you, then consider this. What if, instead of disappearing, electricity itself changed, becoming uncontrollable, unpredictable, alive?